Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Teen Talk Central. In this week's episode, I'm doing another friendship episode talking about why friendships fall apart and the things that no one really talks about, because my last friendship episode did pretty well and I feel like I've learned and I've grown from that experience when I filmed that episode as well. So if you're interested and you want to learn more about it, or you just want to support Teen Talk Central, then definitely continue listening to this week's episode. Hey guys, it's Mia and welcome back to another episode of Teen Talk Central. This week we're going to be talking about how friendships, especially during your teenage years, can feel like everything and then suddenly they kind of change, shift, or end. And I want to talk about why that happens and how to deal with the confusion and silence that often comes with it, and what emotional maturity could look like when friendships actually change. So let's get started. Have you ever just thought about how you look at someone and you used to talk to them every single day and now it's just complete silence? I think we have to normalize that it is painful to lose a friendship. Even if there's no big fight, even if you started it, you can still feel at the end of the day like, oh my god, I miss that person, or I miss what we had. I think we have to think that quiet endings, growing apart, miscommunication, betrayal even, and you have to learn how to process these without guilt or blame, because at the end of the day it's really nobody's, it could be people's fault, but you have to understand that you could just be growing apart, and sometimes that just means that you two are not meant to be friends anymore, but you have to cherish the memories that you did have with those people. I think the first thing is mismatched emotional maturity. I think if one friend starts to set boundaries and the other doesn't know how to respond, then it can become a little bit of an argument, right? If someone says, hey, I don't want to hang out with you every single day, and you used to, and then the other friend is like, no, but I need to see you every day, you are my lifeblood, then I think things start to kind of go south, because you can't communicate what you both want, and even if you do, the other person can't necessarily follow through or try to mix themselves into this new boundary, and that can start to cause some fights and troubles. Another thing is value shifts. I think if one is starting to focus more on growing as a person and trying to maybe lock in on school, if you're in your junior, senior year, maybe you're trying to do more internships and stuff like that, and the other one isn't, and then they also can't understand that you are trying to grow, then I think it can cause a little bit of a buffer, because obviously same thing as kind of the mismatched maturity setting boundaries, you have to always be able to understand why your person is doing what they're doing, and if it hurts, then it hurts, but also you just are growing, and that's okay, and that's normal in humans, because humans are supposed to grow constantly and try to be the best versions of themselves. Also, I want to talk about resentment or passive behavior, like constantly flaking or subtle digs. We have to make sure that just because you're not friends with a person anymore, or maybe you're slowly stopping to be friends with them, doesn't mean that you have to kind of be rude about it or talk crap about them all the time, because at one point you were friends, which means that you do have to kind of respect the time that you did have together. And obviously maybe you guys stop being friends because she or he stole your boyfriend or girlfriend, and obviously that is not good, but you can, if you want to talk about why your friendship ended, you have to be very respectful on both sides. Maybe you also did something that kind of at the end caused it, but maybe the catalyst for the reason why you wanted to end the friendship was so-and-so. Also, one-side effort is kind of another reason why you could stop being friends. If you're always initiating and always apologizing first, I think that is something that a lot of people also talk about, because just because you are the one that's always asking to hang out doesn't necessarily mean that the other person also always wants to hang out. I definitely learned my lesson the hard way with some of those, and I'm no longer friends with certain people because of that. But does that mean that I hate them and resent them? No. but obviously they did do hurtful things to me, which caused me to go through like a lot of stuff. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's all their fault. Like obviously I did stuff too that like could have kind of set everything in motion, but the one thing that they did really catalyzed why we're not friends anymore. And then kind of the last reason why friendships may fall apart, and at least I think, is identity development. Especially in your teenage years, that's when you're supposed to be growing and changing as a person. So obviously that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to stay the same anymore. Like your personality is definitely going to change. Like from my freshman year to now, my personality, I can even tell myself, and my friends say they can, has changed. Which means that the friends that have stuck with me since freshman year, they've seen me and I've seen them change, and they've seen me change, and it's an amazing thing and an amazing journey that we're all on together. But that's just because we understand each other's values. And I wouldn't say me and my really close friends right now have been perfect all the time. Definitely not. Like me and one of my best friends, like at one point we were fighting, and that is okay, but then we talked about it and we were mature enough to have a conversation, and now we're totally fine. And just stuff like that, you have to understand that you are, if you choose, sorry, there's like trucks in the background because I'm still at my summer camp. You have to choose whether or not you want to go on this journey together. I honestly think of friendship obviously more important than marriage, just in my opinion, because when you are friends with someone, you are kind of essentially also committing to seeing each other grow, being there for each other, best or worst cases. Like, it's your commitments that you have before marriage, and then when you get married, not only do you make a commitment to your husband, but I would also make a commitment to stay friends with my friends, because I've done so much together with them and I've been on this personal journey. But that's just my opinion. And I think if you don't align with that person anymore, then that is 100% okay, and you can move on and grow. But also you can maybe come back together when you kind of align together again, personality wise. And then also, I want to change the cultural idea that every close friend should last forever. I don't think so. Not everyone is meant to stay, and some people are just like put into your life to teach you something, and it's not always toxic or dramatic for why you're not friends anymore. Sometimes friendships just drift apart. I've had multiple friendships that just, we go to different schools, we can't see each other as often, and our personalities change, our interests change, and that is okay. And there's no hard feelings, and I'm sure if you reach out to that person again and be like, hey, I feel like we haven't talked in a while, I want to get coffee, they would most likely say yes, unless, I don't know, you somehow did something really bad in the couple years that you didn't talk to them. But I just think that we shouldn't have this idea. I feel like our culture is so into gossip, so there always has to be a gossipy reason on why you're not friends anymore. But I don't think so. I think that you could just have a friendship that drifted apart with no hard feelings at all, and that is 100% okay, and that should be acceptable. And I think the other thing kind of tying into that is the guilt of, should I reach out, or respecting personal space and growth. I think if you are reaching out all the time, definitely don't do that, because you kind of drifted apart for a reason, and although it might hurt, you have to kind of respect that, even if there was no big fight, even if it was just, you go to different schools, you're in different countries now, different states. But I think if you talked about it and said, hey, I need some time to grow as a person, then maybe respect that as well. But I think, should I reach out, at least for me, hits whenever I see something that reminds me of them, and I'm like, okay, let me just text them, see if they want to hang out. If they don't, that's okay. If they don't respond, that's also okay. But in the slim chance that they do, you can always see that person again, and you can, sorry for the background, you can kind of reconnect, and maybe you're never going to be best friends again. I'm sorry, that's just the truth. But you can always become acquaintances. You can be friends again, because obviously if there was no hard feelings, it's a lot easier to kind of bounce back into that friendship or relationship that you had. And finally, I just want to talk about, when is the time to let it go? Does this friendship bring out the best or drain you? I feel like that's a very easy question with maybe not an easy answer, but it is something that really can help you think and process. And then the patterns versus one-time issues. Has it been months of the same dynamic? Have you guys not really grown together as people? Or have you actually been growing together, and the experiences that you have together are helping you become a better person? Because if so, I would stay friends with them. Are you afraid to bring bad things up? If you are, maybe you have to rethink your choices. Because me and my friends, we are usually super honest with each other, and if we're doing something and the other person doesn't like it, we just say it right away. And then, have you stopped being around them or stop being honest around them to keep the peace? Because if so, I would maybe rethink that, because you should be able to talk about certain things once you hit a certain level of friendship. Obviously, this is not necessarily your classmate level friendship, but more of a close friend, what people consider best friend relationship. And also, relationships evolve. They don't stay frozen in middle school energy. You should actually be growing. Like me and my friend, we have known each other since our freshman year, and we've definitely grown and changed since then, and we are evolving together, and we've gone from kind of immature freshman in high school energy to more mature senior adult level energy, and that's because we worked on it together, and we helped, and obviously other people around us. We all grew together to become these new people, and we are evolving together, and that, I think, is an amazing healthy friendship. And we also fight, we also laugh, we do so many things together, and that is okay. That is what real friendship is. Friendship should not just be sunshines and rainbows and you never fight. No, that's unrealistic. And if you do ever feel bitter, you can journal, practice forgiveness, talk to someone not in the friend group, and try to get an outside perspective. I think that's another thing. I feel like in our day and age, like, talking bad about someone in your own friend group is so common, which I don't understand, because you know it's going to get back to the person. Let's be real. So talk about it to someone else, or your parents, preferably not someone who's going to tell other people, you know, a counselor at school, a therapist. It's not shameful to get a therapist in 2025. And then really realize the version of yourself that only exists around them, because if that is a thing, maybe we should change that. Because if you're trying to change yourself to be included in the friend group, don't do that. Your friend should accept you just for who you are, nothing else. And don't erase the good memories, let them hold with complexity. I think if you realize, hey, we had some great memories, but also you did all this stuff, just remember the good stuff, don't remember the bad stuff. Although our brain does tend to remember the bad stuff better than the good stuff. And you don't need to villainize someone, but just be honest to yourself. Did you outgrow the dynamic? Were your needs not being met? If you're the one who left, don't be bitter. If there's space, consider a small conversation, or accept that silence can be a boundary, and it can be a boundary someone else set or something that you set. So, closing thoughts. Friendships that fade or create space from other ones align better with who you're becoming, because then you know that that person may not fit your new values or the person that you're trying to become. And let's go, and let them go with love and not resentment. And always stay open with your thoughts. The people who get you now are out there, and often they find you when you stop clinging to what no longer fits. That's even with relationships. People say that they find a relationship the most when they're looking for them the least. So always stay open, always stay open-minded. And that was it for this week's episode. I want to thank you guys so much for listening. I know this was a little bit of a longer episode. Let me know if you guys liked it. I just felt like yapping a lot today. But yeah, I love you guys so much, and I hope you take some of these into consideration. I will put an Instagram post up of all the different advice. And yeah, I hope you guys have an amazing week and an amazing summer, and I will see you guys in another episode of Teen Talk Central. Love you guys so much. Bye.